Right folks, I'm doing a bit of a review here on Galaxian. So I'm starting with the Mame version. This is meant to be the arcade version of Galaxian. This is being run on the Trimui Smart Pro. So I don't know how well this is showing up on the screen, but it looks perfect on the Trimui. This is a Mame ROM which I downloaded off the internet, used my phone and then just installed it by dragging it across onto the memory card, onto the SD. So I'm just going to do one layer on each of these, rather than doing going as long as I can, but just trying to show you how the game plays. So, of course, in the arcades, this would have been in a portrait situation with a cathode ray tube, a TV to you and me, just sat on its side, whereas of course this Trimui is a landscape screen, so it doesn't quite fit perfectly, and you've effectively got the game running down through the middle. Now, any of you who played Galaxian back in the day will know that in some arcade cabinets you had to cross your arms over because they would have the joystick on the right and the buttons on the left. I don't know if any of you ever remember that. But also, you could also bend the bullets. You could actually steer the bullets slightly using the joystick after you fired it. Now, none of the emulators, even though they say they're authentic emulators, none of them do that. They do look really authentic, exact in fact, other than that. So this is the main version. I'm just going to clear each level, give you my thoughts on it. So it can't be 10 out of 10 because it doesn't have this steering of the bullets, which was actually apparent, was there on the original arcade back in 1979, 1980, in the early 80s, whatever. So I'm coming up to the end of this this first emulator now. So this is, like I say, the main version, so the arcade version. And there you go, that's the end of that level, okay? Right, let's go on to another level then. So now we're going to go on to the Game Boy version, okay? So this is really quite interesting because, of course, the Game Boy is very limited in terms of what it could do. And the Trimui runs this really nicely. And what I've done on here is just change the settings. So it does give a slight colorization on the Game Boy. You can have it so it's actually in its natural state. But basically, if I go to Galaxian now, and we play this, how does this work? So as you can see, they've got the white background. You've got really responsive controls. Again, you can't steer on this, so they've based it on the main version. The sound is great. The explosions look good. There's none of the fancy backgrounds. And you've got to bear in mind this was for the Game Boy, had a different sort of graphic capability back in the day. But playing this now, it's fantastic. Now, the one thing, of course, you will have noticed is no score on the screen. So it's, rather than being a portrait orientation, this is kind of a square screen. So it's kind of a step towards consoles, if you like, being in a different orientation nowadays. And on the Trimui, they put this little border on the side, on each side, which I think is really nice actually. It makes the screen seem complete. There's the score coming through now, hopefully. There, 1860. Let's see if we can just clear this level. So this Game Boy version, I would say, is almost exactly the same as the original. And there you go, game over. So there you go, Game Boy version on the Trimui, perfect. Let's go on to another version then. This is a really old one. This is going back to the Atari. Now, what on earth has this been like? And right away, you can see that the Atari graphics are just like really different sort of game. You've got gaps between each row of the invaders at the top. But they're coming off in a Galaxian style. So you've got to bear in mind that back in the day, we were playing, and I'll show you a screenshot and overlaid this. The ZX81, for example, showing you Galaxian on that. Yeah, we were playing that back in the day as well. So something like this, although it was not authentic in terms of this is nowhere near as good as the arcade, it kind of still does the job to some extent. It isn't as good. It plays pretty well. But you don't get that full nostalgic sort of feeling for this. This is on the Atari, like I said, so far the poorest version, but probably the earliest of the home versions, other than the ZX81, which I just showed you. That didn't even have sound. ZX Spectrum would have probably had sound, but ZX81 didn't even have sound. So in a minute, if I get these last two guys should go now. Here we go. So, okay, it's not very good, this version, but you know, it was kind of okay for back in the day. So that's on the Atari, and then we go to the next level. So next up, folks, we've got the Game Boy Advance version of Galaxian. So what's this like? And this is under the Namco Arcade setup. So you've got on here Galaga, Dig Dug, things like that as well. So let's go straight across here to go to Galaxian. And we'll see what this is like. Now this looks very similar. So what they've done here, it looks similar. The graphics aren't as detailed as they would be in the arcade, but of course you've got the colour, you've got the stars behind, the sound's good. They've tried to change the orientation by putting the score on the left hand side, which is a nice touch, to maximise the size of the screen on the left. So that looks good. Now I want to see what happens if I hit these. I want to hit that yellow one on the way down, see if you get that little sound effect. You'll know what I mean if you've played Galaxian before. Plays a little fanfare and you get 200 points or something. But this is brilliant. It plays really well. Again, you can't steer the bullets. There, it did make that sound. Sort of sound. Not quite authentic, but near as damn it. So this is a good version of Galaxian. Trying to be a bit more considered here and just get through this level, folks. Great game this, folks. Galaxian, Galaga. Brilliant games. Still hold up well today because they keep you engaged. Yeah, it does have a good sound effect there. That's when you want to hit, isn't it? Kind of clear the level. So a little story there, folks, where you can go through these different versions of Galaxian. I know there's a NES version as well, but we've got the Mame version, we've got the Game Boy versions, we've got the Game Boy Advance version. I would say the winner for me goes to the Game Boy Advance version, just because although it's not quite as good as the Mame, it's done that really nice job of trying to make a portrait game fit onto a landscape world, and this would have been on a, you know, not the best machine in the world ever at the time. And as you can see, it's playing nicely. I was trying to get to 5,000. So there you go, folks. If you've got any games you want me to play for you on the Trimui Smart Pro, this is arcade and console retro games, and this is, you know, very much, I think Retro Day was even out now. So retro gaming is like big, and this is why we've got instant pick up and playability. Everything's so throwaway nowadays, and classic arcade games kind of lend themselves to that, where people want to quickly have a quick game for 5 minutes, then put it down and walk away and pick it up another time. Now with these you can save your states, so you can load and save, so you can save your state and then reload it. So you can keep your high scores effectively. That's the only benefit it's going to give you. But you can keep your high scores. So I'm going to get through here, beat the 5,000. He's shut up now. So the sound, and then it comes back in. I didn't beat that. There we go again. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. I don't think they've got any more. Right, this is the Nintendo Entertainment System version of Galaxian, which is hidden away on a multi-card on the Trimui Smart Pro. So let's see what this plays like. Looks good so far, and you've got that little border down the side to make it look a bit more Sounds big and punchy, and they've really fitted that on nicely. Right away, this is an amazing version. Can't steal his bullets again. Want to get the sound of that yellow one. They managed to squash the screen a little bit, which just works really well. I want to see if they got the sound when we get down to the last guy as well. So I've got to get there, of course, folks. I've got to get. I want to get the other yellow when he's flying. One life left. It's going to get a bit dicey now. No way. Right, folks, we'll have one more go. So, how do I rank them? Well, I suppose the Nintendo, the Atari is the worst of the bunch. I'd say the next worst would then be probably the Mame, even though Mame's authentic. It doesn't really fit well with the orientation of new consoles. Then I quite like the Game Boy version, even though it's limited. Number 2 in there has to be the Game Boy Advance version, which is near perfect, although the graphics aren't quite as crisp. But now you go back to the old Nintendo Entertainment System, which, you know, everyone thinks these 8-bit consoles has kind of superseded and run out of date by the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drives and all those. But actually, for these basic games, they've got the capability and the hardware to do this. So I've just got to now get that yellow one and hear the little fanfare when I hit him. If I get that, then we win, folks. There it is, there's a fanfare, folks. It works a treat. It works a treat. If you've got that fanfare on Galaxian, you win. So this is the definitive version. I kind of want to get the yellow on the fanfare again. Get more points in as well. Here he comes. And a little loop, do you see that? And I didn't get him, look. And he comes down now. Oh my god. If I didn't get him at the end, look, I've missed out. Isn't that cool? These little bit of detail there I never spotted before on this version of Galaxian. Like I say, this is a 9 out of 10. If you can steer the bullets like in the arcades, it would get a 10 out of 10. It's brilliant though. It's absolutely brilliant. It's engaging, it's fun, it's challenging, it's satisfying when you pick them off as well. But there you go. So there you go, folks. It got rid of all my favourites from. I just deleted all my favourites. What I got here is I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versions of Galaxian. I've got the rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rank 5 is the Atari version. It was great in its day, but it never really got that authentic view. Next up, I'm going to say actually the Namco version, because it just doesn't lend itself to the orientation of nowadays game, and it's just a straight port. It is what it is. It's authentic, other than not steering of the bullets, and none of these games do that. And it's a great game, but I want something that sort of just fits more with that landscape orientation. So third up is going to be the Game Boy version of Galaxian, because I just think they catch a really nice style, given the limitations of the Game Boy. Next up will be the Game Boy Advance version, which has a nice colour. They've done a really good job at trying to show the scores on the right hand side as well as the gameplay in the middle, which I just think is quite a nice touch. And then, of course, my number one for this Galaxian review is the one that's on the Nintendo Entertainment System. In this instance, on a multi-cartridge, but I managed to find it somewhere. It's an absolute class version. Again, no steering of the bullets, but other than that, it's great. And you get the little fanfare when you shoot the yellow invader. That's authentic. That's like nostalgia, big style. So there you go, folks. Catch you guys on the here we go. Look at this. Let's load. There it is. There it is. Catch you guys on the Galaxian Small Action flip side. I've got to keep playing this so you don't have to. Like and subscribe. Thanks very much. Tell me what you want me to play. I couldn't have said it better myself.